Hello everybody and welcome to Written in Blood. My name is John and today I'm going to be stealing an idea from Alex at Hey Little Thrifter. She just recently, a couple of days ago, posted her Paperbacks from Hell collection video, and it's kind of inspired some other people to do it because I know that Regina over at Regina's Haunted Library is doing it, or has done it, and it's awesome. And also, so I'm not sure who else has done it, but I think she might be starting a trend. At least I'm hoping she is. But I told her, I said, I'm going to steal this from you, and because I've got a lot of 1970s and 1980s paperbacks. And if you don't know what Paperbacks from Hell is, it's a book by Grady Hendrix. And it is, like it says, the twisted history of 70s and 80s horror fiction. It is slam full of illustrations of all kinds of horror novels, and it's divided by categories. So that's what I've done. And the thing is, the only thing I've noticed is when I was looking through this, it seemed to me like a lot of the pictures that are featured in the different chapters don't necessarily always go with the chapters, but most of them do. But what I've done is I've got 8 stacks here of books, and I'm going by each chapter. So if I have a book in that chapter, I pulled it, and it's here to show off to you. Now, some of the ones I have here that are featured in here as paperbacks, I have them in hardcover, so that's how I'm going to feature them. But they are 70s and 80s, horror. So yeah, that's the thing about it. So let's go ahead and get underway. First of all, we've got the prologue, and I've got one book, and I've got 2 representations of the same book. The first one is the one you do find in the Paperbacks from Hell, and that is Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House. Okay. And this was $2.50. And but the thing is, though, this was featured in the prologue, but this is definitely not one from 1970s and 1980s. This is actually published in 1959. But it's in the book, so I was like, all right, I'm going to pull it. So there you go. And then I've got a glow-in-the-dark version of the same book. And I absolutely cherish this edition. This is awesome. I love it. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. Okay, so that was ones from the prologue. All right. So next up we have the Hail Satin. But we know we're not talking about satin, are we? Have you ever seen, I think it's so funny, and this is kind of going off subject, but I think it's hilarious whenever you get somebody that's trying to show that they're like this, I don't know, show how tough they are or something like that, and they spray paint. I saw someone actually had spray painted Hail Satin on a wall back when I was living in South Carolina. So I don't know if this guy was trying to say that he worshiped Satan or if he worshiped really nice fabric. I have no idea. But anyway, beside the point. So the Hail Satin, as I'm going to call it. And first we have The Keep. It's by F. Paul Wilson. We have the sequel to The Exorcist, Legion by William Peter Blatty. And oh yeah, I can see right now this is a step back cover. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Look at that. Look at that. That is so cool. I love those kind of covers. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with those kind of covers. Okay. And next up from Jeffrey Convitz, have The Sentinel. And this looks like another step back, and yes it is. That's pretty gnarly. That's a pretty nice one, huh? This was $1.95. I paid $1.99. So now this one's in hardcover. I really wish I had the cover of this in paperback because it is absolutely fantastic. I'm talking about Son of the Endless Night by John Ferris. Okay. And finally, in the Hail Satin category, got pretty much, one of the greatest of all time, Ira Levin's Rosemary's Baby. Look at that red cradle and those flames licking. I mean, these flames are burning the cover. Look at that. That's pretty wild. Yeah. All right. Okay, next up, I've got 2 books in the Creepy Kids category. The first one is by Sean Hudson, and that's Spawn. That's, yeah, I mean, that is one big-headed kid there. You got the guy in the jar, like he's trapped by this creepy, ugly kid. And then I have, from Alan Ryan, I've got The Kill. And I'm not reading the synopsis for these because I have featured these books in other videos, and I have read the synopsis for them in other videos, and it would take up way too much time. So there's The Kill by Alan Ryan. Okay, next up, this is the When Animals Attack. And the first one I've got is another one by Sean Hudson, and this is Slugs. I read this book. My favorite part of this book is where this guy is eating this salad, and there's a slug in it, unbeknownst to him. And I'm not going to tell you the rest of it because it's pretty nasty. You got to read the book. Slugs by Sean Hudson. Excuse me. And I'm not sure why. Excuse me. I'm not sure why this one was not featured in the book, because it's one of the first books they featured in the first lineup of Paperbacks from Hell. This is The Spirit. And this is a Bigfoot novel. So I put this one under When Animals Attack. So yeah, The Spirit, Thomas Page. Okay, next up, I've got Real Estate Nightmares. And you could easily put The Haunting of Hill House in that one. So that's going to be an honorable mention for Real Estate Nightmares, since I've already featured it. But this is kind of this seems to be the male answer to Haunting of Hill House, and that is Hell House by Richard Matheson. Yeah, I think really you read those two books side by side, and it just would be some really awesome reading. So yeah, Hell House by Richard Matheson. And I've not read this book yet. I've read Rosemary's Baby, but I've not read The Stepford Wives by Ira Levin. Okay. And what collection would be complete if you didn't have Ramsey Campbell? And this is Ramsey Campbell's The Influence. Okay, next up I have the Weird Science. And I've got two books, one of which I can't really figure out why it's featured in this. Like I said, some of the books that are in the chapters, the pictures of them that are featured within the chapters, they don't seem to fit. But I'm going to show them anyway under the category. The first one up is by John Ferris, and this is The Fury. And this is also a movie directed by Brian De Palma. It's got a step-back cover to it. So, there we go. Cool. And then I have a short story collection of erotic horror. This is the first volume. Like I said, I'm not sure why this one fits in the Weird Science section, but this is Hot Blood. And this is edited by Jeff Gelb and Lon Friend, with stories by Ramsey Campbell, Graham Masterton, Robert R. McCammon, and who is that? F. Paul Wilson, among others. Okay. All right. Getting this wound up. Now, the biggest stack I've got is Gothic and Romance, which really surprised me because I don't read romance novels, but yeah, I guess some of them do fall under the Gothic horror, Gothic romance horror genre or whatever. But first off, I've got Fever Dream by George R. R. Martin. It's a vampire novel. Another vampire novel, or at least it looks like one, I believe so. This is the Chronicles of Don Sebastian, and this is No Blood Spilled by Les Daniels. The next three are absolute favorites of mine. Actually, the next four. First one up is Bernard Taylor, Sweetheart, Sweetheart. If you have not read this book, please, by all means, read this book. It's awesome. Okay? And the same can be said about The Elementals by Michael McDowell. I think Michael McDowell was one of the greatest writers of Southern Gothic horror fiction that ever lived. I mean, just the guy just knew how to write that genre so well. All right? And then this is a collection of the 6-volume Blackwater. And oh man, this is such a great book. I mean, I can't recommend this book enough. So yeah, Blackwater, Michael McDowell. And if you can find the original 6 volumes, by all means, please get the original 6 volumes if you don't already have them. I wish I did. I used to. I don't anymore. I hate myself for that. Okay? And then next up, we've got Black Ambrosia. And this is by far, to me, one of the best vampire novels ever written. And it's by Elizabeth Engstrom. All right. Then we have from William M. Carney, we have Devil's Moon. And that one looks like it would have a step back cover, but it doesn't, unfortunately. So, oh, let me show it a little better. Devil's Moon. All right. And this is another one that does not seem to fit in the Gothic and romance category, but it is in the chapter. Weird. And I'm talking about The Girl Next Door. Because this book is freaking disturbing. You know, if you haven't read this book, read it. If you want to be disturbed, just, yeah, read it. Okay? All right. And then from Richard Lehman, you got to have Lehman in there somewhere. Come on. This is Resurrection Dreams. Excuse me. And there's a little bit of glare there. I apologize for that. And finally, from the Gothic and Romance, we have Charles L. Grant and The Hour of the Ox Run Dead. And Charles L. Grant was kind of the master of quiet horror. I think Ramsey Campbell's kind of along that line too. But at the same time, Campbell, you can be reading something by him, and at first you won't catch just how horrific it is. And the next thing you know, you look back and you read it again, you're like, oh, holy crap, that's pretty nasty, pretty gnarly. Yeah, this is Charles L. Grant, The Hour of the Ox Run Dead. And the last one is Splatterpunks, Serial Killers, and Super Creeps. Yeah, I have them all written down so I don't forget the titles. First up is The Books of Blood by Clive Barker. This is the first 3 volumes. All right. Next up is Red Dragon by Thomas Harris. This is the one that started it all with Hannibal Lecter, one of my all-time favorite literary characters. And also one that I would really love to, get some cooking lessons from. Because, I mean, face it, if you substitute what he cooked with just regular meat, you could still have some great meals. All right, so yeah, Red Dragon, Thomas Harris. And next up, I have not read this book in a long time. I need to reread it. This is Slob. And this is by Rex Miller. And I think he wrote a sequel or 2 to this. I think one of them was called Chain Gang. And this is about a serial killer. He weighs 500 pounds. He carries around this huge chain. Yeah, it's pretty nasty stuff. And whatever you do, if you're around him, he loves animals. If you hurt animals around him, yeah, you might as well just kiss your life goodbye. Yeah, because you're going to die, and you're going to die horribly. Okay. Then the last 2 I've got are hardbacks. Again, sorry about that. And they're by Michael Slade. And they are Headhunter, which was his debut novel, and Ghoul, which was his second novel. Now, Headhunter has been re-released as Headhunter Reimagined. I think what he's done is he's updated it. I read the original and I read the Reimagined, and I'm really not sure what the difference is between the two. If anybody has read both versions, then please, by all means, tell me what is the difference, because I'm just not seeing it. Doesn't matter to me, though, because I love both of them. I love the book. It's fantastic. And you've heard me talk about Ghoul so many times. If you have not read Ghoul, please, dear Lord, read Ghoul. And that's going to do it. That is my Paperbacks from Hell collection. About, 25 books, I think? I don't know. And so if you have Paperbacks from Hell, if you have books that are from the horror novels from the 1970s and 1980s, and you have this book, go through, look through them, and see what's in here. See if you have anything that matches up with this. Or if you want to, maybe you can just show off books from the 70s and 80s that are horror fiction. that are classified as paperbacks from hell, so to speak. And that's it for me. So thank you for watching, and good night.